morning one and all once again. So as far as the last lecture is concerned, that is a vibration lecture number 14. Okay, so we started with the problems on viscous damping, and we have solved almost 5 problems. So today in this lecture we will continue with this and solve some more problems on the viscous damping. Okay, so let's start with the next problem. Okay, so the next problem is a single degree of freedom system consists of a mass 20 kg and a spring of stiffness 4000 Newton per meter. The amplitude of successive cycles are found to be 50, 45, 40, 35 mm. Determine the nature and the magnitude of damping force and frequency of damp vibration. So the problem is of the same nature what we have solved in the last 5 problems. Okay, a slightly small change is there. So first of all we will draw this diagram. Okay, so this is nothing but the basic diagram. From this you know that now this is a diagram which you can draw in almost every type of problem. That is a x, that is the output, c of t, versus t, that is a time. So this graph is called the time response graph. So x0 is the initial amplitude, x1, x2, and let us say x3. Okay, so now here you can see that the amplitude of successive cycles are found to be 50, 45, 40 and 35. So let us say that they have given mass m. The mass m is been given 20 kg, right? They have given k 4000 Newton per meter. Okay, now the amplitude of successive cycles are found to be 40. So let us say that x0 initial amplitude is 50. Initial amplitude is 50, and similarly x1, x2, x3 is given. So x1 is equal to, let us say, 45, x2 is equal to 40, and they have given x3 is equal to 35 mm. Okay, so x1, x2 and x3. Okay, so these are nothing but the number of cycles they have given. So from this you can understand that n is equal to 3 cycles. So x0 to x1, x1 to x2 and x2 to x3. So cycle number 1, 2 and 3. So in this particular problem we have a 3 cycles. Okay, now once you have understand the particular problem, what is the first step? So obviously the first step is again to find out the logarithmic decrement. So first step is to find out the del, that is a logarithmic decrement. So how do we find it? 1 upon n into ln of x0 upon x1, right? Ln of 1 upon n ln of x0 upon xn. So this is nothing but a 1 upon 3 into ln of. Now what is x0? x0, so x0 is nothing but a 50, and what is this is x0 upon x3. Okay, initial amplitude upon final amplitude. Now it's a ratio of initial amplitude upon final amplitude we consider. So 50 upon 35, right? So from this I will get del is equal to 0.118. The first step. Now what they have asked? They have asked to determine the nature and magnitude of damping force. So basically they have asked you to find out the first of all zeta, that is a damping factor. So you know that the formula is del is equal to 2 pi zeta upon square root of 1 minus zeta square. This is a basic formula. Now we know that therefore 0.188 is equal to 2 pi zeta upon square root of 1 minus zeta square. So from this we will get zeta. Solve this into the calci and we will get zeta is equal to 0.0189. So what is the nature of what is the type of the system? Underdamped. Why it is underdamped system? Because zeta is less than 1 and greater than 0. Okay, so what will be the nature of response? So in this case, nature of response will be as usual oscillatory, because the system is underdamped. And I have already shown you in the graph the response was oscillatory. We are getting a decreasing amplitude from x0 to the x3. Okay, so now we have find out the magnitude of the damping force and the the nature of the response. So we have find out the zeta. Okay, now once you have find out the zeta, now basically zeta is nothing but a damping factor. Now they have asked you to find out the damping force. Third point, they have asked you to find out the damping force. So damping force. Okay, now how will you find out this damping force? So damping force is nothing but you have to find out the damping constant C. You know that zeta is equal to C upon Cc, right? So zeta is equal to C upon Cc, and Now we know that this is equal to C upon 2m into omega n, right? 2m into omega n. Now we know zeta. What is zeta? Zeta is equal to 0.0189, that is equal to C upon 2 into, now mass is been given, yes, 20 into what is omega n? It is square root of k upon n, right? It is square root of k upon n, and from this you will get zeta Newton seconds per meter. So find the answer, calculate the answer, and you will get C. Okay, so after calculation you will get some answer in Newton seconds per meter. Now here initially you can also find out omega n also, that is a k upon n. What is k? K is nothing but a 40,000, right? So k is nothing but a 40,000, sorry, 4,000 divided by 20. So omega n you will get 14.142 radian per seconds. Okay, so from this we will get C. So let's take a calci and you can find out the C. So what is C? C is nothing but a 0.0189. So that is a zeta 0.0189 zeta multiplied by 2 into 20 multiplied by 14.142. So you are getting this damping force 10 is equal to C is equal to 10.69 Newton seconds per meter. So now we have found out a damping force and you can call it a damping constant C. Is it clear? So this I have find out. Now next is they have asked you the fourth term, that is the frequency of damp vibration. Frequency of damp vibration. Now let us find out the frequency of damp vibration. Okay. So how will you find out the frequency of damp vibration? Means what? They have asked you to find out FD or omega d. You can find anything. Okay. Now first of all, to find this, you should find out omega n. Now already we have find out omega n square root of k upon m. This is 4,000 divided by 20. So the answer comes 14.142 radian per second. So this omega n I have already find out. Right. Now I have find out already omega n. So I will get omega d as equal to, what is omega d? Omega n into square root of 1 minus zeta square. So this is getting close to omega n. So I am getting 14.1386 radian per seconds. Okay. So in this way I have find out omega d. Now you can also find out FD, that is equal to omega d upon 2 pi. Omega d upon 2 pi. So just divide this answer, that is 14.1386 divided by 2 pi. You will get some answer 22.208 hertz. Is it okay? So in this way you can solve this type of problems also. I hope it is clear to all of you. Okay, chalo next. Now one more problem, again a different type of problem we will solve. Next problem, so you can call, this is problem number 7. We have already solved now 6 problems. A disc of a mass moment of inertia 0.08 kg per meter cube is attached to the end of the shaft whose diameter is 120 mm and length is 600 mm long, right? So I can start like this. Given data I, that is a mass moment of inertia of a disc, they are given 0.08 kg per meter cube. Okay, attached to the end of the shaft whose diameter d, diameter of a shaft, that is d is equal to 120 mm, no? 120 mm, so that is equal to 0.12 meter they have given, and length of the shaft L is equal to 600 mm long, so that is equal to 0.6 meter. So this is the given data. When it vibrates in a viscous fluid, when it vibrates in a viscous fluid means what? There is a viscous damping, right? Viscous damping is nothing but the, when a system or when a body vibrates in a viscous medium, some fluid medium. Okay, it is observed that the amplitude on the same side of the rest position. Same side of the rest position means what? If I draw the graph of x versus t, you can see. So these are nothing but the same side. So this is the same side, x0, x1, x2, and xn. And this is nothing but the rest position, or you can also call it as an equilibrium position, right? So this is they have given over here. So they are saying that successive cycles are 9, 6 and 4 degrees. So 9, 6 and 4 degrees they are saying, right? Determine logarithmic decrement, damping torque at unit velocity, periodic time. What would be the frequency if disk is removed from the viscous fluid? Assume modulus of rigidity of shaft material as 4.5 10 raised to 10 Newton per meter square. Okay, so I will just erase this figure and then we'll move on to the next part. So I hope you have understand this problem. So let's solve. So what is the first step? Obviously the first step is to find out the del, that is the logarithmic decrement. So let us say that x0 is the initial amplitude. Okay, so x0 is the initial amplitude. So let us consider x0 is the initial amplitude. Let us say it is a 9 degree. Okay, let us say x1 is the next amplitude, it is a 6 degree, and x2 is a again next amplitude, let us say it is a 4 degree. So x0, x1, x2 they have given. Now we know that x0, if you take a ratio of x0 upon x1, that is equal to 9 upon 6, that will be equal to 3 by 2. And we know that the ratio of two successive amplitudes is always constant. The ratio of two successive amplitudes is always constant. So x0 upon x1 or x1 upon x2 will also give the same result, 6 upon 4, that is 3 upon 2. In both the cases you can see that the ratio of two successive amplitudes are constant, that is the answer is 3 by 2 and 3 by 2. So whichever ratio you consider to find out the logarithmic element doesn't matter, you will get a same answer. Okay, chalo. So now from x0 to x1 this is a one cycle, from x1 to x2 this is a second cycle. So you can consider a one cycle also, you can consider a two cycle also for calculating. I will show you here. So let us say that logarithmic del is given by 1 upon n ln of x0 upon x1 if I consider. So here my n is equal to 1 because I have considered the first ratio. X means what? I have considered x1 as a final amplitude, because in this formula we are taking a ratio of initial amplitude x0 upon final amplitude x1. Okay, you can write like this also, del is equal to 1 upon n ln of x1 upon x1 upon x2. So here your n will be equal to 2. So x1 is the initial amplitude and x2 is the final amplitude. Okay, so you can take vice versa, whatever you want. Okay, so I will start like this. So del is equal to 1 upon n ln of x0 upon x1. So now n is equal to 1, right? So I am getting del is equal to 1 upon 1 ln of, now what is x0 upon x2? That will be constant, that is equal to 3 upon 2. So from this I am getting del is equal to what I am getting then 0.405. Okay, I am getting del is equal to 0.405. Now once I calculate del is equal to 0.405, now second step they have asked you damping torque. So what is damping torque? Okay, now already in last problem we have solved a damping force. Damping force is nothing but a C, because it is a linear vibration, linear system. Now here they have asked a damping torque at unit velocity, means you have to find a CT, means you have to find a CT, damping torque. Okay, so to find out the damping torque, first of all del is equal to 2 pi zeta upon square root of 1 minus zeta square. So from this you will get zeta is equal to, because you know del na? 0.04. So zeta put into the calci, what is del? 0.405. So you are getting zeta equal to, what are you getting? Zeta after calculation 0.0642. After I have a calci, so putting into the calci I have got answer zeta is equal to 0.0642. Right? Now this I have got. Now first of all to find out this CT, there is a damping torque. First of all I need to find out the KT. Why I need to find out the KT is nothing but a torsional stiffness. What is KT? KT is nothing but a torsional stiffness. Torsional stiffness of shaft, right? Because the disc is attached at the end of the shaft. So by strength of material formula, we know that Kt is equal to Gj upon L, and they have already given G is equal to 4.5 into 10 is to 10. They have given in the Newton per meter, right? Newton per meter square. So no need to change. J is nothing but a pi by 32 into D raised to 4. D you should take in what? Meter, right? So 0.12 raised to 4. So this I am getting divided by L. L again in meter. 0.6. So guys, you are getting KT in Newton meter. What will be the unit of KT? See, 1.5268 into 10 is to 6. The unit will be Newton meter per radian, because we know na KT is equal to T upon theta, and unit of theta is Newton meter per radian. Okay, because torque is equal to kt into theta, right? So kt is equal to t upon theta. Like in a linear system, it will be force upon F upon x, right? In linear system, it is F upon x. It is Newton per meter. So this is a change which I have already explained in the last lecture, right? So I've got a kt. So once you got a kt, you will get omega n. So what is omega n in torsional system? Kt upon I. Now you have already calculated kt. I you have already calculated the square root of 1.5268, okay, into 10⁶ divided by what is I? They have I think given 0.08. So omega n, finally you are getting omega n is 46. After calculation I am getting, sorry, it is not 46, it is I think 4368.63 radian per seconds. In this way you have to solve this type of problem. Okay, now once you have got omega n, what is zeta? Zeta is equal to c upon cc. In torsional system, c is equal to ct, so cc is equal to cct. So this is nothing but a torsional case, because this problem is of a torsional pendulum, or you can say a disc, a torsional system. Okay, so now we know that here in this case cc is equal to 2m omega n. So therefore cct, what will be cct? Instead of mi, and instead of omega n, yeah, so it will remain same, 2I into omega n. Or you know the formula for cc is equal to 2 into square root of k into n. So you can write like this formula: cc it is equal to 2 into square root of k means what? Kt into I. So these are nothing but the formulas, just you can improvise, right? So from this what I will get? Zeta is equal to 0.0642. I have already calculated. I want to calculate Ct, damping torque. So Ct upon 2 into, what is CCT? I will take this formula 2I into omega n. So I will get I 0.08, and omega n I have already calculated. No? What is omega n I have calculated? See, 4368.63 radian per second. So from this I am getting a second answer, that is a damping torque at unit velocity Ct. I am getting 44.87. What is the unit? Newton meter seconds per radian, right? Unit is Newton meter seconds per radian. Remember this unit. So this torsional damping coefficient Ct is what? Torsional damping coefficient is nothing but a damping torque per unit velocity. Damping torque per unit velocity. Okay, what is, you can see damping torque, Newton meter is nothing but the torque, and radian per seconds is nothing but the velocity. So the Ct what you have find is nothing but a damping torque per unit velocity. If you want I can analyze here. You know na that F, damping force, F is equal to C into x dot. So what is the C? The C is nothing but C is equal to F upon x dot. So that becomes Newton per meter per seconds. That is equal to Newton seconds per meter. So what is this Newton seconds per meter? Damping force per unit velocity. So this is nothing but a damping force per unit velocity. What we have calculated in last problem, Newton seconds per meter. But here it is damping torque per unit velocity. Na? So how it will come? I will erase this. So in torsional systems, so this damping torque per unit velocity, this is nothing but expected in a, okay, so instead of F it will be T torque, instead of C it will be Ct, and instead of x dot it will be theta dot. So you can see that Ct is equal to T upon theta dot. So you can see the unit becomes Newton meter, and what is the unit of this? Radian per second. So that is why this unit becomes Newton meter seconds per radian, and that is why the Ct is called a damping torque per unit velocity. So am I correct? Okay. Chalo. And now third point, third and the most important point, they have asked to find out the time period of damp vibration. Time period of damp vibration. Now this time period of damp vibration means what? Basically what you have to find? You have to find out the TP in case of omega d. What is omega d? Damp vibration. So first of all, let us find omega d. Omega d is equal to omega into square root of 1 minus zeta square, right? Now from this, and you know what is value of omega n, you know what is value of zeta. Put all the values. So you are getting omega d is equal to, it will be less than omega n. Omega n is 4368. So this will be less than it, 4359. I am getting 4359.161 radian per second. Now easy, what I have said, find out the time period. So what is time period? Tp is equal to 2 pi upon omega d, right? So time period of damp vibration. So you are getting 0.0. So 2p up, divide this particular, uh, take this value of omega d as 4359.6. So you are getting 0.001444 seconds. So this is your answer. And now point number 4, they have asked you to calculate frequency Fn when disk is removed from the viscous fluid. When disk is removed from viscous fluid. When disk is removed from viscous fluid. So what do you mean by this? Means what? They are saying that don't immerse the disk inside a viscous fluid. Means what? Viscous fluid is nothing but like an external damper. So when there is an external damper, when there is no external damper, means what? There is no zeta. Zeta is almost equal to 0. So this becomes an undamped system. This becomes an undamped system. So undamped system means what? This is a case of free vibration. Case of free vibration means what? You are just giving me initial displacement. No any damping is there. Means what? There will be no damp vibration. There will be no omega d. Means what? There will be only omega n. So in this case, how will you find out this frequency? So instead of this finding this omega d, using this omega d, if I use directly Fn is equal to omega n upon 2 pi. So this Fn is equal to omega n upon 2 pi is nothing but the frequency of a free vibration or when disk is removed from the viscous fluid. So we know omega n. So instead of using omega d, so if they ask you to find out the frequency of damp vibration, so you would have find out omega d upon 2 pi, and from this omega d, you would have got Fd, right? You would have got Fd. But now they are asking disk is removed from the viscous fluid. So zeta is equal to 0. It's an undamped free vibration condition. So omega n upon 2 pi. So omega n we already know. What is omega n? So from this I am getting Fn. After calculating I am getting Fn as 695.28 hertz. Okay. So this is how we have to solve such type of problems. Okay. So now I will move on to the next problem. Again a different type of problem. Okay. Now this problem has been asked. Now again this is a problem number 8 I think. So in last lecture we have solved 5 problems. Now this is the third problem as far as this lecture is concerned. So in a simple spring mass damper system, the mass is 20 kg. The mass is 20 kg, right? Now again they have given the spring constant is 10 kg per centimeter square. Spring constant is 10 kg per centimeter square. Okay, and so m is equal to 20 kg. I have mentioned here. K is equal to 10 kg per centimeter. So you have to multiply by 9.81 divided by 10 is to minus 2. So you get answer in Newton per meter. Okay. Next they have given C is equal to and the damping coefficient, and the spring constant means what? K, and the damping coefficient has a value of 0.15 kg seconds per centimeter. Means what? C they have given you. So multiply by 9.81 divided by 10 is 2. So you will get answer in SI with Newton seconds per meter. So this is the first step what you have to understand here. Okay. Now next. So from this after calculation I will get C is equal to 147.50. So now I have all the values. I have N, I have K Newton per meter, and I have C 147.50 Newton seconds per meter. Okay. Now basically if you remember the last lectures, or you can, if you do not remember, you can watch the video number 10, 11, 12 and 13 and 14. In that I have derived the output equation x of t for under damped system, for over damped system, for critical damped system. Okay. Now there I have used some initial conditions, I have done the derivation, and then I have derived this equation, output equation. Now in this particular, to solve this type of problem, you have to first of all find the value of the zeta, understand the nature of the system, whether it is under damped, over damped, critically damped, and after understanding this, what you have to do, you have to use any one of the output equation. No need to derive the output equation again. You have to just remember, as I said earlier. Okay. So first of all, you have to find out the value of zeta. Use some initial conditions. So now initial conditions are given. When a velocity of 10 centimeter per second is given to it, determine the displacement and velocity of the mass after 1 second. So what they are saying? They are saying that initial conditions are at t is equal to 0, x is equal to 0. These are the initial conditions. And at means what we are assuming these initial conditions in that particular derivation, that t is equal to 0, x is equal to 0. Now here they are given at t is equal to 0, displacement is obviously 0, and at t is equal to 0, the x dot velocity is equal to 10 centimeter per second. So that will be 0.1 meter per second, because 10 multiplied by 10 raised to minus 2. So we get zero point 0.1 meter per second. So these are the initial conditions. So this first slide is of the given part. So these are nothing but the given initial conditions. Okay. So I hope you have understand this problem. Now ultimately what you have to find, determine the displacement and the velocity with the mass. So means what? Once you determine the zeta, once you determine, let us say the nature of the system is underdamped system. So you have to find out the equation x, equation for the x. You have to find out equation for the x dot. This x will be in terms of t. This x dot will be also in terms of t. Put the value of t is equal to 1. Put the value of t is equal to 1. You will get x and x dot. So finally they are asking you to find out the magnitude of x and x dot. That is the displacement of the velocity after time t seconds. Means what? As the graph starts, let us say this is the graph. Okay. Let us say this is a graph. This is the graph of x versus t. So initially at t is equal to 0 and at t is equal to 1, what is x and what is the corresponding velocity x dot? This you have to find out in this particular problem. Okay. So you have to solve this problem like a derivation only. Okay. So first step is to find out omega n. What is omega? Square root of k upon n, 9810 upon 20. So this is very simple, 22.14 radian per second. Okay. So these I have already found out. Now then you will find out the zeta. Why zeta? To understand the nature. What is zeta? C upon cc. If the Torsner system was there, ct upon cct. Okay. C upon 2m omega n, c, or you can also take 2 into square root of k upon n, cc. Okay. You can use either of the formula, and from this, yeah. So I'm getting 0.166. So you can say that zeta is less than 1 and greater than 0. So nature of the system is, type of the system is underdamped system. Now for underdamped system, we have already derived output equation. So if I hope you remember the output equation, let me write it over here. Okay. So before that, obviously I want to find out omega d. This is the frequency of damped vibration. Omega into square root of 1 minus zeta square. So omega d is equal to 21.83 radian per second, because I know the value of omega n and zeta. So this is the second slide to find out omega n, zeta and omega d, because all these parameters are required in that output equation. Once I write the output equation, you will understand. Now equation for displacement and velocity means what? First of all, you have to find out the equation of x of t, x and x dot, and then you have to find out the magnitude of this. These two are nothing but the output equations, right? And then the magnitude. Okay. So let me find. So to start with, I think everybody knows what is the equation. So let us say that since, how I will start, I will write since zeta is less than 1, greater than 0, the type of the system is underdamped. Right here, type of the system is underdamped. Okay. So I have written. So what is the output equation? It's a standard output equation. What we have derived, x is nothing but arbitrary constant, e exponential term negative minus zeta into omega nt. This I have written. Then this is sine omega dt plus phi. Phi is nothing but the phase angle. In this case, x and phi are nothing but arbitrary constants which we are deriving from the initial conditions. Okay. Basically, this x is called the steady state amplitude and phi is also called the phase angle. Detail about it we will study in the module number 5, that is the force vibration. Now we just remember that x and phi are nothing but arbitrary constants for which we have to apply the initial conditions. Okay. So first of all, before applying the initial conditions, let's put the value. X is equal to e raised to minus. So what is zeta? Zeta is 0.1661. Okay. Into 22.14 is nothing but what? Omega n into t. Let me put here sign. What is omega d? I have already calculated 21.83 into t plus phi as it is, because till now I don't know phi. Okay, so this is my equation. Okay, so after solving I will get some equation. X is equal to e raised to minus 3.0.166 into 282.14 minus 3.677 t, right? So you will get this equation, and then sine 21.83 t plus phi. Okay, chalo. So let me call this as equation number 1. Now what are the initial conditions? At time t is equal to 0, x is equal to 0. Okay, so apply first initial condition, because this is x is nothing but a displacement. Na? So at t is equal to 0, x is equal to 0. So what you are getting? X is equal to 0. So now e raised to t means e raised to 0 is nothing but a term. So this term will become 1. Okay, so I will get x. Now sine, this term will become 0. Sine 0, 0 plus sine into phi as it is. So I am getting 0 is equal to x sine phi. Okay, now I have got this condition. Okay, now I will move forward. Now basically using the first condition that t is equal to 0 and x is equal to 0, what I have got this x sine phi into 0. Now basically you have to remember something over here. Now from this equation, which equation? X sine phi is equal to 0, x sine phi is equal to 0. From this you can understand that x cannot be equal to 0. Since how I am writing, since x cannot be equal to 0, this x cannot be equal to 0, right? Because x is nothing but a steady state amplitude, and it is never equal to 0. It has some magnitude. So since it cannot be equal to 0, so we will take sine phi is equal to 0. So sine phi is equal to 0 means what? Therefore phi is equal to sine inverse of 0. Sine inverse of 0 is it? So phi is equal to 0. Okay. So now from this particular assumption, or some, you can say, some logic, you can understand that in this case we are assuming phi is equal to 0 phase angle. And guys, you can remember like this also. This is model number 3, sorry, model number 5. In this model number 5, the equation of motion is mx double dot plus cx dot plus k is equal to 0. There is no magnitude over here, because here we are, there is no f over here. That is in case of the force vibration, it will be a sine omega t. Okay, so in this case you will have both x and phi. There is a phase angle and you can say steady state amplitude, so you have to consider phi, but in this case it is 0 because we are giving initial displacement. So your phi is, obviously there is no phase angle, the phase angle is equal to 0, because here we are plotting a time response graph. When we plot a frequency response graph, we also get a phase angle. So in model number 5 you will understand this. Okay, so from this understanding and from this logic also, this phase, we can understand that this phase angle is obviously equal to 0, but we have some value of x, that is a magnitude. Okay, so I will erase out this. And so now from this understanding, I have considered phi is equal to 0, and obviously there should be some value of x. So to get this value of x, you have to move forward. So now let's differentiate this equation 1. Let's differentiate equation 1. What is equation 1? This is the equation number 1. X into e raised to minus 3,677t sine 21.835. Okay. Now first of all I will write this equation. X is equal to, what is this equation? Let me write this equation. X is equal to x into e raised to minus 3.677t. Okay. Minus 6.70 into let us say that x is a constant, steady state amplitude, or an arbitrary constant, basically x. So e, we will call it as a sine, what is omega d? 21.83t plus phi. Okay, so now you have to differentiate this equation 1 with respect to time t. Right, means you have to take dx upon dt. So you will get what? X dot. So now differentiate, what you will get? X dot. Anybody? So first of all x into let me keep this as a constant. So x into sine, okay, x into sine as it is 21.83t plus phi as it is, okay, into derivative of this e raised to minus 6770 as it is into derivative of t1, so I will get minus 3.677. Okay, this is how I am getting the derivative. I am applying the product rule plus again x into e raised to minus 3.677t as it is. Okay, and derivative of sine cos. So cos 21.83t, okay, plus phi, okay, and into phi is again constant, arbitrary constant, 0. So 20 derivative of 21.83 into t, 1 multiplied by 21.83, so I am getting 21.83. Okay, so this is how I have got a derivative x, derivative of, or I have got a x dot. Okay, now once you got the x dot, so you can see that there is something common term. X is a common, x is a common. We'll change the color plane for the common terms. Then here e raised to, this term is common and this term is common. Okay, so I will write this both the terms common. So I'm getting, after getting a constant term, I'm getting what I'm getting, see, x dot. Okay, x dot is equal to capital X into e raised to minus 3.677t. Okay, so what is remaining inside? Minus 3. Let us say 677. Okay, sine 21.83, sine 21.83 t plus phi. Okay, this is as it is. Okay, plus what else? What is will get plus 21.83 into cos, 21.83 into cos. What I am getting? Cos, again bracket inside, 21.83 t plus phi, bracket complete. Okay, this is what I am getting. You can see here I will have x e raised to minus 3.677t common, so sine 21.83 plus phi as it is. Now this minus 3.667 I have taken here, over here, and plus 21.83 into cos 21.83, this term. Okay, so in this way I have got this minus 3.67 sine plus 21.83 cos term. Now we know that when t is equal to 0, what is x dot? X dot is not 0, but it is 0.1 meter per second. In derivation we used to take it 0, no? So put here 0.1 is equal to, what we'll get? Minus 3. Now x as it is, first of all x as it is. Okay, x as it is, e raised to t is equal to 0, so this term e raised to term will become 1. Okay, this term will become 1. Now x as it is, so again what you will get, put one by one everything. 0 is equal to x into, I will write it e raised to 0, I will write it e raised to 0 into sine, okay, into sine, what I will get? 0. Okay, one second, I will rub out this and I will write properly, so you will not get confused. Okay, so write it again properly, so you will understand this better. Okay, so now put here t is equal to, sorry, x dot is equal to 0.1 is equal to, so minus 3.677 as it is, and this x as it is, because e raised to term this will become 1. Okay, then x, then this sine 0, because t is equal to 0, sine 0 0, so minus 376 as it is, sine 0 0 plus sine phi. Okay, so x into sine phi I am getting x into sine phi. Okay, you can understand. Now plus again this x is constant now for both terms, so x into 21, x into, now this cos, again cos 0 you are getting here, so cos 0, now cos 0 is 1, so this term will become 1, so what remains? X into 21.83 as it is, 21.83 into cos phi. Okay, is it clear to all of you? So from this, now finally I am getting 0.1 is equal to 21.83x from this. Okay, sorry, this term is cos 0, no? This term is cos 0. Okay, so I am getting, so finally what I am getting, 21, cos 0 is nothing but a 1, so 21.83 into x I am getting this, right? And here again phi is what? phi is equal to 0. So phi is equal to 0. So this term will also go on. So I am getting 0.1 is equal to 21.83x, right? So from this I will get x is equal to 4.58, right? 4.58 into 10 is to minus 3 meter. So you can write this equation in mm also because it is very small. 0. What you get? 0 0.00458. Okay, I'll write into the mm. Now I have got x, and what is phi? Phi is equal to 0. Now I have got both the arbitrary constant. Now just you have to replace it into the equation. So what are the equation? So first equation is what? Velocity displacement equation. So x is equal to, what is the equation? X, capital X, 0.004588, right? E raised to minus 3.68 t into, now sine, this t, sine, what is sine? 21 means what? Sine omega dt plus phi, but phi is 0. So this is my equation number, let us say A. Output equation for the displacement. Okay. Now if this is the output equation for the displacement, so when t is equal to 1, so after putting t is equal to 1, you will get magnitude of x. So what is x? Put t is equal to 1. So after calculating, I am getting 0.0433 mm. This I am getting, right? And now I'll write the equation for the x dot. So again, same equation for the x dot is also same. What is the equation for the x dot? 0.0048458 double it e raised to minus 3.68 t as it is, and inside the bracket, if I go backward, if you are not understanding, I will go backward. You can see this is the equation, na? X, this is the equation. Here put the value of x, e raised to minus 3 as it is, and this inside a bracket term as it is, this inside bracket term as it is. Okay, so here I am putting it. So what I am putting, minus 3.68 into sine, okay, 21.83 t. Okay, just put everything here. Okay, plus again remaining term 21.83 into cos, what I am getting, 21.83 t. Bracket close, and this bracket is complete. Okay, so you can see, if you are not understanding, I will go backward. See, minus 3 as it is, sine, this as this term is at it is only there, phi is 0. So this phi will get eliminated, this phi will get eliminated. 21.83 into cos 21.83, and x is the 0.04588, and e raised to this term. So as this differentiating, I have just put the value of the arbitrary constant x and 0. Okay, now when t is equal to 1, you are getting x dot is equal to, put t is equal to 1, this equation, put into the calc, you are getting x dot is equal to 2.205 mm. This is nothing but the mm per seconds. Okay, because I have considered this x into the mm, so I am getting mm per second. So this is how we have to solve this type of problem. I hope you have understood.